I suck at this. What's up, fellow YouTubers? It is I, the one and only HeathAve. It is Saturday. It is the weekend. And it is actually getting colder outside. Just yesterday when I spent the night at Cody's house, and y'all know him from the last video, like, we just went outside in the morning because I had to move my car so Parker could go get us some biscuits, and it was really cold out. And it was really cold out today as well. Even afternoon, it's like, holy crap, it's finally getting colder. What seems like the endless amount of really hot weather is finally coming to an end. Until, you know, after the seasons pass, and then it's hot again. But now, on to other matters. You know what's a comic series you should get into? If you especially like vampires, as in real vampires, not stuff like Twilight. And if you like horror, well, let me pull out this bad boy. American Vampire. It is a really good horror slash adventure, action, I don't know what to exactly call it. But anyways, this is a really good comic series. It's currently only has 7 volumes, heading on to 8 volumes, yes, or maybe there is already an 8th volume, I'm not sure. But anyways, best way to explain this comic series is you have written by the great mind of Scott Snyder, who, those of you that don't know who he is a very good comic book writer. He has written Batman, the Court of Owls, the City of Owls, he has wrote The Wake. He has wrote a lot of stuff, and he's really good, especially in the horror genre, and making things all dark and stuff. Drawn, or whatever, artist is Raphael Albuquerque. I believe that's how you say his name. I could be butchering the word. And I know a lot of y'all is going to notice this from what you can see at the cover for the first volume. Stephen King. That's right, Stephen King was also involved in the first volume. Him and Scott Snyder actually co-wrote the first volume, but Stephen King is only here for this volume, not any further volumes. It was just a small-time thing, I want to say, or a one-time thing, where Stephen King was like really impressed with Scott Snyder's portrayal of vampires and how he wants to and what he wants to do with it. Here you get to see a very some beautiful artwork of what an American vampire looks like, at least in their full form. In their full form, their jaw unhinges, their fingers turn into claws, their teeth comes out, and all that. And the artwork is just beautiful. Beautifully done by Raphael Albuquerque. He tends to do very, very gritty kind of, I'm trying to think of how to describe it from an artistic point of view, meshy kind of look. Not meshy, not as in messed up, but it's like it fits well with the settings. From you can see from some of these different panels, you just see how well and everything looks. Scott Snyder also collaborates with, hold on, I gotta fix the camera. Scott Snyder also collaborates with some different artists along the way, but the main artist, of course, is Raphael Albuquerque. Some of the other artists would be Sean Murphy. Scott Snyder has also worked with Sean Murphy on The Wake, which is a pretty good read, 10-issue run, horror slash sci-fi. Basically just picture aliens underwater. That's what The Wake is. And anyways, I almost forgot to mention that the comic series is published by Vertigo. Vertigo, which is a off-branch of DC, if I believe. And basically, this is where you get all the really, really mature stuff, like the off-chapter of the DC comics. Because this comic series is filled with a lot of gore. I'll show you an example right here. Just look at that. The amount of blood. Or this panel right here, it is just, you see a guy with bite marks, ripped skin, and blood everywhere as he's drained from its body. This is just crazy. And some of these scenes are just downright scary looking. Like, look at this panel of a vampire. This and some stuff that could give some people some really horrifying nightmares if they're not used to this kind of stuff. And now let's talk a little bit about the characters in the story. I don't really want to spoil the story, but I will talk about who are the two lead characters. One of them is Skinner Sweet, an outlaw from the 1800s who becomes the first American vampire. And then the second lead is a upcoming actress named Pearl Jones, who lives in the 1920s and becomes the second American vampire. She gets left for dead and gets turned into a vampire, and she becomes a badass. So none of that damsel in distress crap. And I don't want to spoil too much of the plot, so just know this. The story goes through different decades. It's like, oh, it'll be in the 20s, then it'll be in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. As the series goes on, it keeps on going through the different decades, which is really awesome. You get to see how the characters kind of change from then. You see other characters that aren't vampires, how they age and how they... There's just so many like favorite characters that I know a lot of people is gonna have. And sorry if you hear that, my dad's outside cutting the lawn, which is so loud. But it's cool. It's pretty cool outside, so it's like I don't judge him. It's good weather to cut. And anyways, I think I'm pretty much wrapped up this video. If you like the sound of American Vampire, go and read it. If you don't want to read it, then fine. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. And this is HeathAve signing off.